Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign putting the pedal to the metal with less than 4 weeks until the Democratic National Convention and a little over 100 days until the election. Her fight for the White House is in high gear. Today, Harris holding her first rally since she jumped in the race just 48 hours ago. The Democratic frontrunner for the nomination met with cheers from an invigorated crowd. Harris using her speech to sharply contrast her time as a prosecutor with former President Trump's legal problems. And Vice President Harris is not the only one gaining support of pledged delegates, but more key endorsements pouring in from top Democrats.
President Joe Biden has made the selfless decision to pass the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris, who is ready, willing, and able to lead us into the future.
Delegates throwing their support behind Harris. Top Democrats in the campaign also smashing fundraising records, raking in more than $100 million in the hours after President Biden exited the race. Her team saying 62% were first-time donors. 3 of the most recent polls still show a very tight race between Harris and Trump. 2 polls have Trump up by 2 points, and an NPR PBS Marist poll has Trump up by just 1 point, all within the margin of error. Right now, the Harris campaign dialing in on who could be her running mate. These candidates are topping the list. Just ahead, we will explain how they could further shake up this already unprecedented race. And today, President Biden back in Washington, D.C., spotted for the first time since making the monumental decision to drop out. Tomorrow, he will address the nation on that choice and what the next few months of his presidency will look like. We have a lot to get to tonight, so NBC's Peter Alexander starts off our coverage.
Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris holding the first rally of her presidential campaign in front of an energized crowd in critical Wisconsin, embracing her likely showdown with former President Trump.
I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
Pitching herself as a former prosecutor going after her political rival, a convicted criminal.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds, predators who abused women. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
Zeroing in on Mr. Trump's praise of the Supreme Court for overturning Roe v. Wade.
We trust women to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do.
The raucous event coming just hours after Harris became the de facto Democratic nominee. Her campaign announcing she's secured public support from a majority of the party's delegates ahead of next month's convention. Tonight, winning another pair of key endorsements from the 2 most powerful Democrats in Congress.
We are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris.
And today, Hollywood star George Clooney, just 2 weeks after urging President Biden to drop out, praising him for saving democracy once again and hailing Harris's historic quest. Late today, President Biden, who has now tested negative for COVID, returned to the White House, where he'll address the nation from the Oval Office tomorrow night, detailing his decision to leave the race following immense pressure from Democrats and to lay out what he hopes to do in his final 6 months in office. That much more difficult now as a lame duck. Mr. Trump today off the trail, but on his new message, now attacking Harris.
She's the same as Biden, but much more radical. She's a radical left person, and this country doesn't want a radical left person to destroy it.
His running mate J.D. Vance overnight accusing Democrat elites of disregarding the primary process that President Biden won.
Democrats are the ones who want to throw out 14 million ballots and not elect Kamala Harris, but select Kamala Harris. It's disgraceful, and that's the threat to American democracy.
And Peter joins us now from the White House. Peter, former President Trump today was asked if he would now debate Vice President Harris. What did he have to say?
Yeah, listen, you're right. Mr. Trump said that he would absolutely debate Vice President Harris. He added that he'd be willing to do more than one debate with her. But tonight, the Harris campaign says in those same comments, Mr. Trump also appeared to be hedging whether he would show up for the previously planned September debate. Ellison.
And Peter, you spoke about the president's speech in your piece. Are we learning any more details about what President Biden might talk about?
I think we are getting a better understanding that he's not just going to explain why he decided to get out of this race, but also try to better detail what he hopes to do in the course of the next 6 months. As we noted, it's much more difficult to do as a lame duck president, but there are a series of priorities based on my conversations with those here at the White House. He's going to focus on trying to open up the spigot to sort of dish out the hundreds of billions of dollars in federal money that has been passed and signed into law by the president, including that infrastructure money to help support roads and bridges and airports around the country. Separately, there are almost 48 to be exact, vacancies in the federal judiciary, another point where the president, if Senate Republicans let him, will try to fill those slots. And beyond that, of course, is his desire to help find a ceasefire given the awful war between Israel and Hamas. Allison.
Peter Alexander on the North Lawn at the White House. Thank you. The search also intensifying tonight for the person who could join Vice President Harris's ticket. NBC News now reporting the campaign has requested vetting materials from 5 candidates, the shortlist covering more than half of the 2024 battleground map. NBC's Yamiche Alcindor takes a look at the Democrats who have made the cut.
Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris ramping up her search for a running mate. Her campaign requesting vetting materials from 5 elected officials, according to 2 sources familiar with the process.
And when we fight, we win!
The candidates on the short list include 4 governors: Pennsylvania's Josh Shapiro, North Carolina's Roy Cooper, Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, and Tim Walz of Minnesota. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly also joining the list. Together, they represent more than half of this year's battleground states, which will likely decide the election in November.
Certainly, they have to be a unifier, unify and continue bringing our party together. They have to have expansion capabilities, meaning expanding the electorate. They certainly have to be able to draw a true contrast, not just between Donald Trump, Trumpism, and Trump's Project 2025, but also be able to draw the contrast between Trump's pick to be his running mate, J.D. Vance.
Shapiro, a young Democratic Party star, rose to prominence as Pennsylvania's Attorney General. Then he earned a blowout win in the 2022 governor's race, outperforming Biden and polling well with Republicans.
President Biden yesterday endorsed Vice President Harris, as did I, as did many across this country, not only because of how honorably she has served in the past, but how absolutely ready she is to be president and to be the standard bearer for our party.
Today, Shapiro denying he submitted any vetting materials.
Did you say that no paperwork has been submitted to vet you as a vice presidential candidate?
The other Rust Belt governor under consideration, Michigan's Gretchen Whitmer. She's a political powerhouse known for taking on former President Trump. But despite throwing her support behind Harris,
today I am fired up to endorse Kamala Harris for President of the United States.
She has said she would not accept an offer to be her running mate. Another Midwesterner, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, would offer Harris a progressive voice from the area. But he doesn't have the name recognition of the others on the short list.
That we've got a great candidate. We've got one that folks lined up behind Kamala Harris, that they're making the case that this administration is moving us forward.
Roy Cooper of North Carolina offers Harris an ally with strong bipartisan support and a strong track record on abortion.
I've known him for almost 2 decades, and he is an extraordinary leader.
So far, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly is the only candidate on the list from the Southwest and the only one who's been to space. Kelly and his wife, former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, have become the leading gun control advocates after her attempted assassination in 2011.
We can have a president and a vice president who wants to fix our broken immigration system and keep families together.
Vice President Harris is working against the clock as she makes her choice. Sources tell NBC News that Democrats would like to have a VP nominee by August 7th to make sure their candidates get on the ballot in all 50 states.
And Yamiche Alcindor joins us now from Wisconsin. Yamiche, this is normally a process that could take months. Harris has 2 weeks max. What exactly is this going to entail?
Well, that's right. Vice President Kamala Harris really has to work quickly here. She wants to get this right, but she also wants to make up for lost ground because this has been a ticket, of course, that has been in flux in a way that we've never really seen a presidential ticket be in flux. That being said, what the process is going to tell is a number of things. The Bipartisan Policy Center says that this means that she's going to be looking at financial records, background checks, online activity, social media. She's also going to be interviewing the candidates that maybe get closest to that short list when she goes to look at sort of who are the finalists for her running mate. But I also have to tell you that in talking to sources close to Vice President Harris, there's really going to be a vibe check here. Who does she feel comfortable with? Who does she feel like she wants to be on the road with? Who does she really trust in this process? And because she's the sitting vice president right now, she wants someone who's going to be able to see her blind spots, is what one source told me. Someone who's going to be able to sort of give her wise counsel and constructive criticism and be able to really talk to her in a candid way when it comes to making decisions, both on the campaign trail, but of course, if they make it to the White House, someone who could also take up policy issues that she might not be able to have on her plate as president if she, of course, wins this election. So a lot to take in here, but it's really going to be about the person who she feels most comfortable with and also someone who she feels like will help her beat former President Donald Trump and J.D. Vance in November. Allison?
Yamiche, thank you. Vice President Harris getting the endorsement to be the Democratic Party's presidential nominee from the top 2 Democrats in Congress, adding to the list of high-ranking Democratic leaders supporting Harris, including our next guest. Joining us now is Minority Whip for the House of Representatives, Democratic Congresswoman from Massachusetts, Catherine Clark. Thank you so much, Congresswoman, for your time tonight and joining us here on Top Story. We really appreciate it. Let's just jump right in because you have officially endorsed Kamala Harris as the top of the Democratic ticket for the next president of the United States. Are you confident that she is the person most likely to beat Donald Trump come November?
Ellison, I am supremely confident. She brings a rich experience in leadership, AG of the largest state in the country, a U.S. senator, a very successful vice president. And you can see how her stepping into this spot to be our nominee has electrified not just the Democrats, but people all over the country who realize the threat that Donald Trump is and see in her a way to have their voice in the White House, to have their voice in these discussions. She is a champion for women and our right to make our own health care decisions, and she is so focused on lowering costs for families and building an economy that works for working families. So you can see it from the vast number, 58,000 volunteers, $100 million in funding, and so much of that from first-time donors. So we are excited and energized to make Kamala Harris not only our nominee, but the next president.
What do you think would be top of the list if there was a President Harris day one in the Oval Office? Would it be some of the health care things you mentioned, women's rights? Where do you think the Democratic Party and the White House under Harris, where would they begin?
Yeah, I think she has been a champion and the spokesperson for the Biden-Harris administration on reproductive freedom, because she understands that these decisions should be between a woman and her family, her doctor, her own faith. So I would imagine that that is going to be top of mind. She is also so committed to making sure that people are having their needs met, creating solutions for families at home, whether that's addressing the high cost of housing and childcare. These are issues that she has worked on and been such a tremendous partner to work with for the work we're doing in Congress. We're so proud of what we were able to do with the infrastructure bill, bringing manufacturing back to this country. And her vision for the future is one that is centered around families and making sure that they see opportunity.
And Congresswoman, you did not call on President Biden to suspend his campaign. Did you want him to stay in the race?
You know, we went through a process as a caucus where we heard from many different members, all the members, and all of that information was relayed to the White House and to President Biden. And I just have to say that I've always been an admirer of President Biden, but what a patriot, what a selfless act. I think it's why Donald Trump is so surprised, because there's nothing in Donald Trump that could imagine putting the country ahead of his own accomplishments and desires. And so what we see in President Biden is what we've come to expect: courage, grit, and patriotism. And he will go down in history, not only for his incredible effectiveness as a president, but for this courageous move.
Democrats seem to be really rallying behind Harris in a big way, but there are those who say this process is not democratic enough, right? The group Black Lives Matter, they released a statement calling on the party to hold a virtual snap primary, arguing in part this, quote, "We do not live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. The Democratic Party, which has been the loudest in defending democracy, is now poised to commit some of the most undemocratic maneuvering to avoid listening to the will of the voters." Election scholars, they largely seem to agree that this ticket change is legal because it did happen before the convention. But my question to you, Congresswoman, is it ethical? Is this, in your view, an example of what democracy really looks like?
I think it is, and here's the reason why. Kamala Harris has been an integral part of the Biden-Harris ticket. She was on the ballot in the primary where they received millions of votes. She's received 81 million votes in 2020, 14 million in the primary. So this isn't a switch up. This is what a vice president does. When the president steps aside, the vice president steps in, and we are so lucky to have such a champion for freedom, for American families, for getting to solutions in Kamala Harris. And I think that this is unprecedented, so there's bound to be anxiety about it, but this is the process. And you can see from the delegates around the country that are coming in with unanimous support for her. This is not a backroom deal making. This is about making sure that we have the very best candidate to defend our Constitution, defend our freedom, and build an economy that works for us in the light of the very real danger of Donald Trump.
Democratic Whip Catherine Clark, thank you, Congresswoman. We really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.